Hey folks, it's Matt once again. We're about to another review. This time for a film that I've reviewed once before, but I wanted to review this again because A, I bought this for my birthday, and B, I heard that this was actually coming out on Blu-ray either later this year or next year by a company called Scorpion Releasing, and that is Rituals. Now, this is an out-of-print DVD. Thankfully, I got lucky and didn't have to spend too much on it. But of course, as soon as I got it, then Scorpion released and goes, "Hey, we're coming out with a Blu-ray." I'm like, "Well, fuck! I could have just waited until the Blu-ray came out." But still, at least I have the DVD. For those who don't know, Rituals is a film that came out around 1977. Critics at the time denounced it as just, oh, it's a Canadian ripoff of Deliverance. But honestly, I find this to be much more enjoyable than Deliverance. Deliverance I've never cared for. There's other Burt Reynolds films I enjoy more. Hooper's my favorite. Smokey and the Bandit I like. Cannonball Run, among others. But Deliverance, I prefer Southern Comfort and this film over Deliverance. Deliverance was never my cup of tea. I'm like, Ned Beatty gets fucked in the ass and and Burt Reynolds with an arrow. That's all I remember of it. But Southern Comfort, I think, is a much better film. And this one, I like that it's a slasher movie, but at the same time, it's sort of a more, I almost want to say, sophisticated slasher film. Because if you're going into this for blood and guts and gore, you're not getting it. Even though some of the makeup was done by Carl Fullerton, who worked on Friday the 13th Part 2 and 3, you're not getting gore with this, but what you're getting is a great cast, very well directed. It does take place in the Canadian mountains, and they use the landscape very well. Hal Holbrook, who's been in John Carpenter's The Fog, he was in Creepshow. He does a wonderful job here. You have some pretty creepy, unsettling moments. A spooky, moody, low-key score by Hagrid Hardy. Might have said his name wrong. And just a very well done movie. And this is a movie that deserves a lot more talked about, a lot more to be seen. It has been uploaded onto YouTube. A few people have uploaded the film. If you type in Rituals 1977, you will find this uploaded onto YouTube for those who want to watch it. If you're going in expecting, again, action, gore, you're not getting it. But this is an old school, just very solid horror film where, first off, I know an alternate title was The Creeper, but I like this title better. The Creeper sounds like a Scooby-Doo cartoon, or of course a prequel to Jeepers Creepers. Rituals make sense because it's about five doctors who make a ritual every year. One of them picks a place to go for a weekend retreat. And at this point, one of the doctors chooses the Canadian mountains. And then it plays off the title. Another reason it plays off the title is the killer kind of does these almost ritualistic killings of these doctors one by one. It has a little bit of mystery of why this figure is killing these people one by one. These five are adult characters, which make it a little bit more interesting and unique compared to a typical slasher film. The characters have a bit of depth to them. Hal Holbrook, who's the main guy, he's the most decent of the group. His character's name is Harry. He has a little bit of backstory about his father. About his father was a drunk and all this, and how Holbrook left him and turned his back on him. Lawrence Dane, who he's a guy who is in Scanners. He was in Happy Birthday to Me. He was in a few of those early John Candy films I reviewed. He plays Hal Holbrook's buddy, but he's also a guy who's a little bit selfish, a little bit whining a bit more than the others, a little bit I don't want to say self-centered, but selfish fits better. And Lawrence Dane was also the producer of the film. Other actors, you have Robin Gamble, Ken James, Gary Reineke. One is, you have a set of brothers, and even one of them, they don't do much with it, but watch again, I didn't realize this one guy who later on gets hurt, and how Holbrook Lawrence Dane has to carry him, that guy's actually, he plays a homosexual. And it's one of those things that I didn't catch until the guy mentions about how, and I have a boyfriend who does this and that. So I thought that was interesting. They don't put it in your face, hey, guess what? He's gay. It's just, hey, that's what he is. It's not about that, it's about the character. So I thought that was kind of interesting. And it's these characters, one day they're out on the weekend retreat. Again, I like the locations they shot in, the Canadian mountains. At one point, they're in this location that almost was like a post-apocalyptic world where the part of the forest had been burned down and there's broken trees and branches, and then they go near this dam. Pretty eerie location. There's some really good-looking shots. At times, you'll see a figure right off in the distance, and he'll be this big, just watching these people. And one day they are in the water, their boots have been taken, only one of them brought another pair of boots, so he goes off to try to find some help, get some info. And strange things are happening. They wake up in the middle of the night and there's the head of a deer that's been freshly killed right in their campsite. And this guy fucks with them. He'll put a line in the water, and they assume their friend put it there, and they walk, and in the water, there's bear traps. He'll sneak around, and there'll be a person unconscious. He'll put like a medal on there and leave to fuck with their heads and see what they'll do next. They'll find one friend who's been sort of, what was the term they used? Put into traction? It's like the killer put like rebar, like fucking steel right into the guy's legs, and he's like bleeding to death. And it's like, do you have to do a mercy killing on your friend or not? There's a lot more to it than meets the eye. It's kind of like The Hitcher with Rutger Hauer, where they both seem like slasher movies, and I love slasher movies, but there's more to them than that. There's more to what's going on, and they're both very well done. And The Hitcher with Rutger Hauer, I wish that film would get a Blu-ray in the U.S. I have no idea why. I mean, obviously it's rights issues, but come on. It's The Hitcher with Rutger Hauer, C. Thomas Howell. That deserves a Blu-ray. It deserved a Blu-ray years ago. I don't know what the fuck the holdup is, but this film, I'm glad it's getting a Blu-ray. I have a feeling the features are just going to be what's on this DVD from Code Red, put onto the Scorpion releasing. Because I don't know who else you could get for this. I know when, at the beginning of this DVD, they mention how the ending of the film seems a bit dark. And that's because when this film came out, the big studio guys behind it, they didn't give a shit if this film got released. They just got the film made as a tax write-off. And while the actors and director believed in the film, they didn't. The higher-ups, the head guys, And like, okay, fine, release it in just a couple theaters, and then there's a fire in a lab, so some of the print got damaged. So the finale doesn't bother me too much, but it is a little bit darker than the rest of the film. So I don't know if that Blu-ray, maybe they found another print. It happens. I remember reading the other day a piece of news that someone found a 30, like a, was it 35 millimeter? They found an uncut print of Suspiria in an Italian theater, just randomly. So you never know. And I'm being kind of vague on it because I do want people to check it out. And this DVD's, it's probably going, you're going to find it, I would guess, a bit cheaper since the Blu-ray is coming out. But even then, it's on YouTube. You can watch it. I actually like the way the film looks. I like the scratches because this is like a grindhouse in the right way. Yeah, sometimes they put in fake scratches, like the real scratches. It gave us sort of a grindhouse, old school feel. And I actually found that kind of charming. I mean, they didn't do that on purpose, but it's just how the print they found. So I actually kind of like that. But yeah, it's a simple story. 5 doctors in the Canadian mountains being hunted one by one. Some very creepy visuals. A guy being hung over a fireplace and burning to death. You know, a head on a stick. Nice. You see him very briefly, but some nice effects by Carl Fullerton. They get attacked by, I think, either bees or wasp. I forget which. And it's a story of survival. I thought the ending was satisfying, simple, but yet very effective. He does get use of that shotgun, which is cool, as you see on the cover. And Grand Illusion Cinema said it best. I finally crafted a well-acted bit of wilderness slasher. I would say if you are a fan of films like Deliverance, even if you're not, like I'm not a fan of Deliverance, I'm a fan of Southern Comfort, other stuff. Or if you're a fan of wilderness slasher films, or you're a fan of horror films of the 70s, or you're a fan of underrated gems, films that... This was a film that was almost lost. This was a film that could have easily been lost in time. And I know way, way back on DVD there was a cut version, but this is the more uncut version. So I believe if you go on YouTube, it should be about an hour and 39 minutes. That the YouTube video will say an hour and 39 minutes, give or take. And that should be the one that's on this DVD, which is the preferred one, the uncensored one. But again, if you're going in this for blood and guts gore, you're not getting that. And if you don't... Like, this is a film that people consider slow, but I was never bored with it. I was in it from the start. I thought the director, Paul Carter, did a really good job. I'm not sure what else he's done. And it's sad this film hasn't gotten much of anything, but I think it deserves a lot more. It deserves much more than it's gotten. And once again, Scorpion releasing, I hope they don't fuck it up. Like that piece of shit Moontrap Blu-ray. Scorpion releasing had nothing to do with that, but still, that was another company that fucked that up. But at least I have a DVD of it. But anyway, Rituals, I definitely think it's worth a look. It's an underrated gem, in my opinion. And criminally unknown film. Deserves a lot more than it's gotten. I'm a big fan of this movie. I can't remember how I first heard about this movie. I think I must have just seen the trailer and I went. And I think the first time I saw this was on YouTube, actually. There was a copy on YouTube. I was able to see it and I really enjoyed it, was impressed by it. I think that's why I was watching 70s horror trailers. I'm like, what's this? Huh, interesting. And for features on the Code Red, which I think is going to go on that Blu-ray, commentary with star producer Lawrence Dane, moderated by Lee Trishan. About a 20-minute interview with Lawrence Dane, about a 10 or so minute interview with Robin Gamble. And it is in widescreen. So anyway, just wanted to do a video on this. Thanks for watching. Take care. And stay tuned for more videos later.